are a dying breed. The people who are driving manual transmission cars, listen, an iconic brand model car just threw out the flag, said it's over. Hey, you like cars? Well, so do I. Take a seat real quick. You're listening to CarQuicks. Where have I been? Okay, that's what you really want to know. But I'm back, okay? Look, I was in the Caribbean. I took a little bit of a R&R, but I'm back with the pod, okay? Now here we are. I don't even know what episode I'm on. You know what time? 28, season 1. I never even said season 1, but you're on season 1. It's episode 28. Like I said, I took a hiatus. I was on some R&R, much needed. Now I'm back now with some car news, podcast. You already know what time it is, okay? If you missed me, I missed y'all too. I'm back now, okay? Everything is in perfect order, as it should be. Now, what's been going on? Listen, there's probably a bunch of things that already happened that I'm not even going to speak on. Probably last week, the week before, right in between the time I left, there's a bunch of stuff going on. It's Monterey Car Week. I mentioned a few things, not everything, but we're going to jump into some simple news today. It's nothing truly exciting. There is something that I've said over and over again. I've mentioned it time and time again, and we are just getting confirmation after confirmation after confirmation about what is going to happen for the future. So one of the things that's coming up now is Mini released their EV. Now, Mini Coopers, they've had an EV for a while. Though, to me, this is them pretty much saying, like, we're going to be heading that direction much sooner than later as far as their entire lineup of cars. The new Mini's out as far as the EV one. To me, it looks like a more return to form, even though the Mini is now big. Okay, like there's nothing Mini about the Mini. If you've seen a Mini and you've seen the old one, you know good and well the new Mini is about the size of a Toyota Tundra compared to the old Mini. But the EV one gets up to 250 miles per range. The interior looks much cleaner than the regular gas-powered one, which I guess is a testament to them trying to be more minimalist when it comes to electric cars. It works very well on the Mini because you have the big tachometer, speedometer, all the information, the big round. I think it's like 8.4 inches now as far as the infotainment, unit they have there. 184 horsepower for the standard electric motor, 218 for the SE one. If there's a John Cooper Works one, or if there's anything that John Cooper Works is put on, because as you know, with the Mini, that was the high performance one. And then they had the GP model, which the last GP model with the flare fenders that had like the fins on the side looked absolutely insane. That is still to this day the craziest Mini they've ever done. 0 to 60, 7.3 for the standard, 184 horsepower one, 6.7 for the SE one. I mean, it's a standard fare. I mean, honestly, if you're into Minis, if you're into EVs, if you wanted something that's quirky, cute, this looks better. This looks better than a lot of the other cars that are coming out. Instead of everything being an egg on wheels, and we're going to get to that again. At least it looks the part. It looks like the Mini. It looks like it should. And so for their purpose of what they're going to do, this makes a lot of sense. Now, there is something interesting. They have a mode called go-kart mode. Now, I'll be honest. I don't even really know what the go-kart mode is, other than the fact that Minis are inherently handled well. They drove quickly. So the go-kart mode tightens up the steering, tightens up the suspension. I don't know if it adds more power, more boost. Really, all it sounds like is that it speeds up the steering response, which, I mean, I guess that's go-kart mode. But if you're thinking go-kart mode, Italian job, Mini Cooper, I think there's got to be more than that, especially considering the fact that performance hatchbacks that are EVs, like the Hyundai Ioniq N, they're showing that they can do it all the way. So if Mini's thinking of doing it this way, I think that they need to put their foot all the way down when it comes to like the John Cooper Works or the Mini Cooper S or whatever version they come out with next after this one. Keeping on with the electric cars, because there was a ton of electric car news. The Model S, not Model S. I mean, listen, that's how much these things look the same to me, okay? Because I don't even know the difference anymore. The Model 3 has got a redesigned. Not redesigned, more so a front fascia relift, facelift. You know how they do. Mid-cycle on the cars, they want to rechange and freshen up things. I will say this. I'm not the biggest Tesla fan. I'm not of the technology or the person who owns a company or anything like that. I just think that they're cool. They do their part for people that just care about getting from point A to B. They don't excite me. I don't look at them and I'm like, oh man, that's really, really cool. I think the idea of them is very cool. Haven't driven one. I thought about buying one before we bought our van for the family. We looked at a Model Y, but it just, I don't know. This really speaks to me. However, the Model 3, the facelift, this looks way cleaner. Front end looks way better. I'm sorry for anybody who just got a Model 3 a couple days ago because this new front end looks way more fire. Also, the price got dropped down to $37,000. Yo, Elon is chop suing. He is over there with the ninja chop all over these price tags, okay? If you're looking at a Tesla, just understand one thing. If you're buying one today, probably by tomorrow midnight, it was cheaper, okay? I mean, at the rate we're going, it's buy one, get one, okay? It's about to be coupons in the Sunday paper to get one of these cars. Here's the things that changed. Headlights front end, as you can see, way cleaner. Took the headlights and things from the Model S they redesigned. Same with the tail lights. The interior looks cleaner. I mean, saying cleaner to an interior that already had nothing in it, it's kind of funny. But bigger, seems like a bigger screen. The dashboard and the fabrics and the materials they use on there have been moved up to a more higher standard. They say luxury, but I've never gotten to a Tesla and thought it was a luxurious interior. I thought it was nice and clean, comfortable, but I guess the materials and the soft touch areas are increasing in what they're doing so that they feel a lot better. The rear gets an 8.4-inch screen. That's for like the entertainment and the climate control for the rear passengers. It gets a 12% increase in range, and that's really what matters here. The standard range, 344 miles, which is very good. You get to the long range one, we got 421. That's the biggest takeaway here. So unless the standard old Model 3 drops down aggressively in price, then that 12% increase in mileage is something to look at, especially for paying the same price. If the price for the new Model 3 was all these updates, is $37,000 starting, and so is the old Model 3 model, then you might as well just wait. Wait till they get the new one in and then go get one. Unless they start dropping the price on the old one to the point where that 12% increase can't negate the savings that you have up front, then you go get the old one. Outside of that, everything looks very cool, clean. Same thing you're seeing with the Model 3. There's nothing else new and exciting as far as powertrain. That's pretty much it. I don't know where the Roadster is. We don't know where the Cybertruck is floating around in production models. They got skins on them from F-150s to Tundras. I don't even know what to tell you. I don't know where these cars is at. Are they coming? Are they not? I don't know. The only thing that's really on the streets are Model 3s and S's. That's really what you see. A couple Ys here and there, a couple X's. I don't know about the Cybertruck. The Roadster is vaporware as far as I'm concerned, okay? They threw that thing out there like 5 years ago, and I haven't heard a peep. Who knows where it's at? But a Model 3 is cool. Very nice. If you like just getting from point A to B, like I said, you're not jumping into Teslas like I'm going to wow myself to death or I'm going to have a visceral experience, and maybe you're not looking for that. But that's all good. Nobody has to look for the same thing. We all are individuals. Now, speaking of visceral experience, if you got a Hellcat or a Scat Pack, I've already talked about this. Listen, Last of the Mohicans. You guys are out of there. End of December, the TRX is done too. End of December, the TRX is out of here. If you are looking for a $120,000 truck, which is insane, then your pickings are getting slimmer. Which, I mean, listen, if you got it, you got it. I can't hate on it. Have fun while you can. Salute. Now, the end is coming. The end is nigh. December, the TRX is done. They're not making them anymore. And if you have a Hellcat or Scat Pack, another report came out said they are the most stolen car in America. Here's the bottom line. If you got one of these cars and listen to this podcast and you ain't upgraded the alarm system, a low jack, couple pythons on the steering wheel, couple Rottweilers, pit bulls, or something around the wheels chained up, I don't know what to tell you. Your time is limited. Where I live, I know somebody that got one snatched straight out their driveway. You know how they're doing it? Copying the key fob in your house, going to the car, unlocking. I mean, smooth and clean. It was gone in 60 seconds for real. So they already made a report saying, of all the cars that are stolen in the United States of America, the Hellcat, the Dodge Chargers and Challengers is sitting at the top of the pile. If you have one of these cars, man, just get a garage. And if you ain't got a garage, don't buy them cars. And speaking of other cars that are coming to an end, listen, Ultima boys and girls, it's over. 2025. The Ultima is going away. I know. What are you going to say? Who else is going to be cutting up the streets with bumpers hanging off? What are the cars Nissan going to sell to every single person that walks into their doors that wants some random sedan? I don't know. They're in an interesting spot. But, we're going to do the inaugural drive and cut off for the end of the Ultima season. When the Ultima comes to an end, we're all going to come together. Our fellow Ultima drivers are going to come together. We're going to do a drive and cut off because that's what y'all do every day. Okay, we're going to hit the highways. We're going to drive and cut off folks like we normally do, just in celebration for one of the iconic cars. And it's an iconic car. I mean, I know the memes now laugh at the Ultima about how they drive and how them things just never stop going. And truth of the matter is, I haven't seen one that hasn't been banged up. I'm be perfectly honest. The cleanest ones I've ever seen at the dealership. After that, they hit the streets and they get busy. And once they get busy, they're banging up against folks. I mean, listen, if you see an Ultima weaving and diving and cutting people off on the freeway, leave it alone. Don't even try to catch up. Don't even get mad. That's just how it's designed. It's an apex predator. Okay, for front fenders and bumpers. But I don't know what's coming next. Nissan is in an interesting spot because I suspect that they're going to lean more towards SUVs and keep the GTR and the Nissan Z for like their Halo sports cars. The rest of the cars, to me, haven't really caught on to the masses as far as how they're selling. You don't have competition with the Accord, the Sonata, the Camry. I mean, BMW 3 Series. I mean, they're not even trying to get to that range. The Sentra, the Ultima, the Maxima. I mean, these cars all did come from a period of time which they were renowned and loved, especially the Maxima. But nowadays, how that car is built and how it's designed and what it targets and the issues they have with the CVT transmission. Honestly, if anybody asks me about buying one of those cars because they have crazy incentives and wild deals, I'm always like, don't do it. Go get something else. Go holler at Toyota. Go get a Honda. Go get something that has been known to get respected, rebuilt, redesigned, and continues to trend forward towards more efficiency and reliability. But whatever Nissan does next, I'm sure it's going to probably lean towards the electric. Because, I mean, what's the point now? At this stage in the game, making a brand new gas-powered Ultima would be dumb. It'd be foolish. Just make an electric one or make a very high efficient hybrid one. But all I know is that y'all got 2 more years before it's over. Okay, so you better go grab, I don't know which one you're grabbing, but just go, if this really in your bag, go and get one while you can. Now, again, it's just some exciting, really exciting stuff, really dope looking. Alfa Romeo showed off one of the dopest, fires looking new supercars I've seen yet, the 33 Stradale. This looks, I mean, just look on the screen. I mean, this looks fantastic. Absolutely fire. One of the current new, very good ways of speaking to an old supercar, an old design language, and modernizing it, bring it into the forefront. It's not going to be exactly the same, right? There are going to be some key pieces. If you look at the old 33 Stradale from Alfa Romeo, right? We're talking about the 1960s. There is something that was almost friendly about the designs of their cars. They had very subtle lines, provocative, sexy. Now we get kind of provocative and aggressive. We get a very angry face, angry rear quarter panels, angry rear taillights. it still looks very good because that's kind of what people want now. They want something that's very much in your face, where the old one couldn't look more welcoming as far as what it was doing. The same thing can be said for a lot of the old Italian cars from the 60s and 70s, even to the 80s and 90s, and kind of started switching towards more aggressive, boxy, strong lines. And that's kind of what you have now. What I will give Alfa Romeo props on is that they incorporate a lot of what the old 1960s 33 Stradale had on this new version, and it looks amazing. Okay, this looks absolutely fire. Now, obviously, the underpinnings I think are like the Maserati MC20 or something similar to that. I think it is. If I say that, the proportions and doors and everything looks very similar, very close to that. But so what? I mean, if it's good, it's good. Regardless of what the underpinnings are. I know sometimes people want these companies to make something brand new from the ground up, scratch, straight off the paper. Listen, R&D for Alfa Romeo, I mean, I'm surprised they're still around. They don't got it like that. So they're going to take what they can. Here's what you get with this. There's a V6 version and there's an electric version. This is the first time where a car is being introduced where there's a gas-powered one and a fully electric one. V6 one and the gas power one, twin turbo, 620 horsepower. The electric one gets 750 horsepower combined with the motors. They didn't explain the setup they have. I'm assuming it's like a tri-motor, one in the center, two in the rear wheel drive bias, 750 horsepower, 0 to 60, 2.5 seconds for both models, 207 miles per hour for the gas one, 193 for the electric, so it loses top speed because the electric motors run out of steam at the top end. It looks really cool. The electric one has torque vectoring when it comes to how it's handling and what it's doing in the corners and straight line. But there is something here that kind of points to one of the issues that you're going to have when you're trying to transition to the electric cars. The electric version is 1,300 pounds heavier. 1,300 pounds. The standard one weighs 3,600 pounds. The electric one is about 4,300. Listen, I don't even know how you come up with some reasoning of the 40% weight increase. Like, what does the car feel like? How does it drive? Now, straight line is fine, right? 0 to 62.5, top speed 193, 207. I mean, it's a wash, right? But I don't know how you give up with all that extra weight. Even if you have the torque vectoring, the electric motors and the handling and the tricks that they do on electric cars, especially electric sports cars, and make them handle like their lightweight counterpart, I'm real interested to see if they drive these cars together, the V6 one and the electric one, if somebody does not come back and say that extra weight you can feel. Now, if it was me, if I'm buying one of these, I'm getting a V6 one. Not because of the trying to keep everything away from electric. I love electric stuff. I think it's really cool. But 1,300 extra pounds, to me, it takes away from the ethos of the car. We're talking about lightweight Italian sports cars, supercars. I don't want to carry around this 40% extra weight for the sake of saying I have something electric. Now, the electric one gets a range that's, I think, up to 300 miles, or they might have said up to 400, which seems a little aggressive for the number. That might have been like the European standard. I don't know if the American standard that they do for electric car range would reach up to that high, but that is going to be the interesting part of this car. Now, they're only making 33. So if you're listening to this podcast, which I'm, just putting up now, it's sold out, buddy. Sorry, man. Listen, play the lottery again, try again later. They're only making 33 of these things. I guess it's split 15 and 15, 17 and 17, however many they're going to do for each model. But that's all they got, and they ain't making any more. Now, I don't know how many times I got to say this. I don't know how many times I got to put down, my stance on this, but we are a dying breed. The people who are driving manual transmission cars, listen, an iconic brand model car just threw out the flag, said it's over. Volkswagen announced that they are no longer making the manual transmission on the Volkswagen GTI after 2024 model year. Yo, that is massive. In the realm of manual cars, transmissions, hot hatches, that fun experience. I mean, that's a big deal. The GTI is renowned from the MK2 16 valve days. Before that, the 8 valve, the Mark 3s, the Mark 4s. I mean, you're talking about something that consistently every single iteration had a manual transmission. 6-speed manual was one of the kingpins of the hot hatch era. It was the standard for many years in comparison to other cars. It could be a hot hatch, it could be a daily commuter, it could be very comfortable. It also, even now to this day, is a more of a luxurious ride. It feels better interior wise than a lot of the car counterparts that it has. It is known for years. So for this to lose a manual transmission, yo, listen, we're done. We're done. I don't even know what else to say. How could we lose a manual transmission in the GTI, the Grand Touring injection? I mean, I don't even know what Volkswagen's going to do next. I mean, for them to do this on that model shows you they are dead serious. It's coming to a close. Now, maybe one of my old episodes, I did a podcast about a manual transmission that Toyota was developing. Maybe they get along together, or maybe one day along the path of electric EVs, we get to that point where we have a manual transmission in the EV that kind of simulates that idea of driving a manual. Sounds crazy now, but I'm sure as technology and ideas get further fleshed out, it may not sound that crazy. But as of right now, there's no manual coming in the next GTI. And right on the heels, I mean, literally on the heels of that idea of the manual in the GTI going away, they announced the GTI ID concept. Well, the Volkswagen ID GTI concept. Essentially, it is the electric version of the GTI. Now, obviously, I'm not dumb. This is all planned. Clearly, you announced the untimely demise of a manual in your most renowned of hot hatches in the entire category. And you come right behind it and say, well, here's the electric version of where we're going. So the GTI concept that they have for the ID, that's the electric one, before it was called Grand Touring Injection for the I in GTI. Now the I stands for intelligence, which I'm not knocking it. At least they thought about how the fans of that car know what that moniker means or what those acronyms meant, those letters. So at least they had, added something to it. Not much information on the drivetrain. It will be front wheel drive. It will have a limited slip differential. So it's running that off an electric motor. I'm assuming the electric motor will probably range around the 200 to 300 horsepower range, unless they're feeling really good and want to excite people. They're going to bump it up with, they say the standard one makes 300, maybe the Golf R ID or electric one goes up to 400. I don't know, 400 or 500, whatever it may be. 10.9-inch screen in the front. It going all digital on the dashboard. Very big screens on it from the concept they showed. I'm not mad at the outside how it looks. It's designed well. They didn't take away from it. It's not an egg on wheels. It doesn't look overly bulbous. It has this aggression. It has squared off look and fenders. It looks good. The sad part is the fact to knowing that isn't the one that's going to be with the regular motor and the manual transmission. It's the electric one. But this is where we're headed. This is what I say. If you like these cars, if you want one of them, you best go buy one. If you haven't got one now and you're on the fence, I don't know if I should get one. I mean, I just kind of think, listen, again, play around if you want to. But when it's over, okay? Ain't no coming back. I mean, what Volkswagen has done with their ID, like the ID Buzz, they have done very well. I'm not saying that they aren't keeping the homage of the original car into the new electric ones, but it's going to be a hard pill to swallow when you realize, like, the GTI, I mean, such an iconic vehicle that's coming to an end like this. And kind of abruptly. I mean, they didn't even try to swan song it with, I mean, they have a few special edition ones, but they didn't try to crank it up where they're like, listen, guys, here's one last one, even though I say that, but they made a version that was like 80 grand in Europe that sold down like 8 minutes. So maybe that was Volkswagen giving them the last bit of hurrah for the standard GTI. Rounding out this electric car extravaganza that this podcast episode is, we got the Mercedes-Benz CLA Concept. Now, I've been talking about Agon wheel designs, and listen, this is precisely what I'm talking about. Look at this picture. I mean, cool, it's clean, it's a CLA. It's an Agon wheels, guys. I mean, listen, it's just roundy and it's on wheels. The interior is clearly a concept. You can see it. There is no way this coming to production. There's too much aluminum, metal. I mean, you're going to bang your shins up on this car trying to get in and touch the gas pedal. I mean, they're not making it like this at all. The Hypervision that you see that they had in the EQS and the EQ models, that's obviously going to make it to the CLA Concept. But this is just them showing you we're making an electric version of our entry-level luxury car. And this is probably their battle against the Model 3, BMW's, electric version of the 3 Series, Hyundai's Genesis versions, all the electric car companies that are coming out there in this entry-level luxury brand. This is what they're coming after, and this is what they're going to set out to do. It's not much to add to it. I mean, it looks decent. I just think, listen, when they're making these electric cars, I just want these manufacturers to just add a taste more personality, not necessarily technology, because that's easy. You can throw any bit of technology into a car. Now, how it integrates is a different story, but what I'm saying is the basis of me throwing screens and LED and ambient lighting in the car, that's cool, that's easy. But adding the character to it is where it's hard, right? Type R's and GR Corollas have a character to them. The GTI had a character to it. Now, will that transition and move on over to the ID version of the GTI, the electric one? I hope so, because if it loses that, I mean, we really have lost a lot. I mean, if there are certain cars that as the years have gone on, it's been important that it's been good. And the GTI was one of those cars. When hot hatches were on the brink of like coming to an end, there really weren't any around. The GTI was the one that was there. So if we're moving into the EV range of it, I just hope that between this GTI EV and the Hyundai Ioniq 5N, I hope these also usher in that experience of a driver's car in the EV. I'm still extremely excited about the Ioniq 5N and can't wait to drive one of those. So if the GTI EV comes along right around 2025, 26, and it offers that same experience with an EV, then yeah, we may lose the manual. Yeah, it's sad. Save the manuals, the Manual Preservation Society. I follow them. I forgot their whole, Instagram handle. But listen, that's why I got the GR Corolla. Okay, if you want one, go get it so that whenever you have an electric car, inevitably, it'll stand next to one of the forefathers of this whole fun driving segment. And that's it. You listen, there's more coming up next week. I'll be back to the consistent schedule. I mean, I can't go back to the Caribbean again for another 9 days. I mean, if I could, I would. If I could be there permanently, next time maybe I'm shooting this podcast from the beach with the race crashing behind me, and y'all gonna be like, yo, this man is out of here. He's gone. He done retired. Okay, he hung it up. But I haven't. I'll be back. There's another episode coming with the GR Corolla. We're at 15,000 miles. 15,000. So this next episode I'm shooting, I might be shooting it today when it gets a little later in the day, sun goes down, I might start shooting it. But this is a big one because I've had this car for this long, and yeah, I know everybody wants you to say, what do you hate about the car? That's the big, YouTube channel, 5 things I hate about my car, 10 things I hate. I think hate is a very strong term. It's more of a clickbait term to me when it comes to how you use it. But I don't really hate anything on the car. But I got some things I can talk to you about because now we're 15,000 miles in. I can show you what it looks like. I may not even wash the car. I might show you what it looks like in its day-to-day lifestyle. But we're at 15,000 miles. That video's coming. More podcasts. And as I always say, do as you wish and do as you may. This is Cameron Biggs, your host. And this is CarQuicks. I'll see y'all around. Peace. Hold on. Again, subscribe and like. We're almost at 1,000 subs on the pod and on the episode and on the YouTube channel. Let's get to it. I'm at near 700. Let's get it cracking.